Okay, so um, the point of this video is that there are no jobs in the Dominican Republic. Uh, I'm not looking for a job here. I don't have experience working here. I'm a programmer. I work for American companies. I've worked for a few other companies besides American companies over the years, but at any rate, I do software development and web development. And so I'm not working for any Dominican company, and I wouldn't think of doing that. And you shouldn't either. Okay. Now, um, I just looked here, but there is some way that some people uh, can. Where is it? Right here. Okay, here's an example it's from DR1. Uh, Here's this guy in La Vega, okay, and he's working from the Dominican Republic and he's making about $3,000 a month, but he's working teaching English online, okay? He's teaching English online. So he's not really coming to the Dominican Republic and searching out a salaried positions. There are no salaries here, right? You've got to understand there's no way for you to come here and find a salary. You're competing for nothing, really, and so the salaries are awful. You barely get by on them, and you're not legally allowed to do that anyways, right? And so there's a ton of competition and the stakes are very low. So you don't want to try to do that. And that includes teaching English. There are, as I understand, I know a guy here in Santiago who's a local Dominican, and his English is perfect, and he's been an English teacher for 20 years, I think, and he makes a pretty decent living. And so he has told me what the down low is, and without going into any details, like his name, and don't ask for his name so that you could get a job through him or whatever. But the bottom line is this: right now, all in the Dominican Republic, over the last number of years, there's been a move to really, when it comes to working and jobs in companies, they are enforcing sort of stricter visa rules. As I understand it, it used to be, from what I have been told by him, is it used to be you could come over and just work and no one really say anything. And that was usually involved English teachers, right? But that don't even, but now I don't think you could even do that. So at any rate, if I went over here and I used Google to search, you put in site and then a colon and then dr1.com. This is beyond a doubt, the best, most important, well-established forum regarding the Dominican Republic. You may not have seen it. You may not have, but once you go there and you have a quick gander at these forums, you'll see, 20,000 messages, how many threads, thousands of threads in many of these, right? There's thousands of people here. I think I don't know how many members they have, but I think they have close to 70,000 members. Of course, they're not all active members, but you can really figure that you can. So at any rate, it's a good thing to search, and Google search does better than anyone, right? And so Google knows a lot more about, if you want to search this website, don't use their search function, use Google and put in here, search just in this site, and then use your keywords here, and in a heartbeat, you can look through. Here's one. We could take a look at it right now. Is it possible to work in DR if you don't speak Spanish? Now, this guy, someone will be on this post. I haven't looked at it, but I bet someone will say, don't even try it. It's possible. Da, 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 da. Don't expect to earn much. Okay. There's no... Da, 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 da. And you need to be a legal resident to work here. So that's one thing I want to touch on, you guys. The government policy, the practical government policy, how it's enforced, they have no problem with people coming down here and investing money, or people, retirees who just are spending their money. That's good for the economy. They like it, right? If you're a retiree, and that means your kids aren't going to school here. You're not taking up, so that's not a drain on tax dollars. Your babies aren't jumping around the hospital. I know there's exceptions to this, but, and so it's the phenomenon called, what is it, an empty nester? In describing why states in the United States do better when a bunch of retirees come down and just spend money as consumers, but they don't take jobs from the local population. It's good. It's a good thing. And they have every reason in the Dominican Republic to at least, certainly, the people, I think there's, in practice, more enforcement of the rules for professionals who might come down to the Dominican Republic. And that would be someone, you guys, who, when I say professionals, I mean somebody doing something other than a hard labor job. They look the other way at Haitians because they like to build their homes and their buildings with very cheap labor. But they don't want a bunch of people coming down here and working as middle managers or taking the white collar jobs, the more intellectual or the jobs that require some education that their sons and daughters might like to have. So they're very interested. They're sort of a current of, we'll enforce the visa laws if you want to come down here and take one of the real jobs. But if you just want to be one of these Haitian guys out on a construction site, and when you see construction sites here in the Dominican Republic, I just right down the street, there's some people building some things. And actually, I know the guy who's building it, and I happen to know that almost everybody on that construction site is a Haitian. Okay, so they'll let you do that. And so you could talk about coming down here and working. You really, it's not a good idea. Okay, you should forget it. What you can do is get some sort of online job. It could be doing, blog posts for a search engine optimization company. It could be doing social media management for an American company, right? It's for an American company. And you could even you could be, maybe even get some kind of call center job in the United States first before you come down here, right? You get it all lined up before you come down here. It's, with this pandemic and everything, the situation's changed, right? There are far more remote work opportunities. And I think there are going to be lots of people, or pretty many people coming down here and go, well, geez, I can be down here and the rent is cheaper, and I came on a vacation. I had this girlfriend. Maybe I can hang out with her a little bit longer. So I'll work online and I'll stay here. I think that's a very viable option. Okay. But I'm not working here for a Dominican company. I'm not taking jobs here. And I recommend that you guys don't, there's no job. There aren't any jobs here really. Now, there are a couple provisos or caveats, let's say some exceptions to that. I think there are some people up on the North Coast selling real estate. There are some real estate agents that are doing pretty well. And I think it relates to the fact that there are a lot of people buying properties in that area, in Puerto Plata, Socio, Cabrera, Cabarete, and they'd rather buy from an American. If you were going to drop a bunch of cash on a residence and you had to put 50% down payment or more, right? I think you'd want to buy from an American guy or a Canadian guy, someone who's from your country or could speak your language exactly, you know. And so I think there's opportunities for people who want to sell properties, etc. I think there is something there, but then again, you know, maybe you need to have worked in that industry. I certainly don't know anything about it. I mean, not really. I know I built websites related to that real estate. And by the way, you know, if you need a website like that, you can try to get a hold of me, and I can tell you what I might be able to do it for, etc. And I can show you some samples, etc. But anyway, back to my point is that is one exception. I think that there are some sales jobs. There's some need for people who are selling things up there. But for example, there's no need for that really in Santiago, where I am, because, well, maybe a teeny bit, but most people aren't buying homes here, although maybe there are some people that are, simply because the internet is so much better here, that's a whole nother issue. Is, you know, hey, do you have sufficient internet to do it? Well, in Santiago, you can get that. Santiago, you can get sufficient internet to work online. But that raises another question is, well, you could go down there and you could start selling properties and you could probably get away with it, but are you in violation of the visa rules? Probably yes. Right? So there are probably a bunch of agents out there who are busy selling real estate, and they're probably doing it illegal. Does it really matter? No. Do I care? No. But it's something to consider. So no jobs, right? You don't want to come here thinking you're going to just get some sort of job. Now, if you came down here with $50,000 and a willingness to do, you know, create some business, that's another question. That's another thing. And you potentially could do that. I'm not saying you couldn't do that. But a lot of these people who are on YouTube, and they are retired or they have a separate source of income. And so, you know, if they talk about jobs and say there's jobs, it's not true. There are no jobs. And so they're usually they've got some pension, or they worked in the military, or they're retired. Or some of them don't even stay in the Dominican Republic that long. They just come here and there and they make videos, etc. And they have income from somewhere else. Let's see here. What else was I going to do? So it's a question of supply and demand. It's a question of supply and demand, and also to some extent legalities, right? You don't want to be competing with Dominicans for these jobs and these salaries here. It doesn't make any sense. I guess it would help you live longer here, etc. Okay, so the question of internet and whether your internet is good enough to properly work online, I think one question would be is how many video conferences do you have to do? If you only need to make blog posts and your employer is willing to put up with a shitty video conference here and there, you could probably get away with working Puerto Plata, or even Sosua, or Santo Domingo for that matter. Now, I you know, a lot of times we'll have screen sharing sessions, etc., and video conferences involving a number of different people, and we're talking, and and it would not be acceptable to have bad internet and those type of things, um, given the amount, given the context and the responsibilities involved, um, in my job. Now I write code uh, all day long, which is what I do. So technically, when I'm uploading things to a server far, far away, it doesn't really matter that much, because usually the changes in what I upload are not that, it's not like huge videos or something like that, right? Um, but um, I think for people who want to teach English online, that's something you need to really consider. Okay. And to that extent, Santiago is better than somewhere like Sosua or Santo Domingo or even Puerto Plata. I've heard there are areas of Puerto Plata where it's pretty good, but I can't verify that. I can only say that, in the 10 or 15 different places I've stayed in Sosua and Puerto Plata, and the 5 or 10 different places I've stayed in Santo Domingo, and certainly basically every other city, it's just awful. And if you had to have kids, and you were teaching kids English, right, from China or something, uh, the parents saw how awful the video quality was, they'd start complaining right away, I'm sure. So that's another question. So one thing is, in Santiago, the area La Trinitaria y Los Colegios, and there's a few other. What you could do here, go to this site, dr, site:/dr.com, space good internet Santiago, or better living area. Well, let's do this. So look at the date. So you could do a search like that. So internet speed in DR, in which part of the island is stable? Internet speed in which part of the island? Volts, 5 megabytes, where? To be able to, here I need internet to work remotely. Today is a good day. Punta Cana Claro fiber optic. Claro has on their website a area in Santiago where it shows the areas of Santiago, the neighborhoods that have Claro internet. So I think in another video I will do a video about that, because really, I mean, internet is so important for work these days. It deserves entire video by itself. So again, let's see. Okay. All right, you guys. Have a good one.